Good morning, Mackenzie Thorpe. Welcome to Tees Talks.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you.
It's really lovely to have you here on the
Thank
podcast.
you.
We're also filming. It's quite nice to be able to see the person that you're talking to as well, even though the main theme of it's a podcast.
Right, even though they look like me. Yeah.
Oh, no. You're ultimately recognisable to everybody in Teesside, aren't you? You're a very familiar face to us all. So I just wanted to have a chat with you, and today's Tuesday, and normally you come online and do a very lovely Wednesday morning chat with everybody with your community. Do you want to tell me how that came about and how long you've been doing the Wednesday mornings?
Not long to Wednesday mornings, Owen joined us as a company out our son, right? So it's me, my wife Susan, and Owen basically run the business. We have 10 staff running the Mackenzie Thorpe Limited around the world, even more. And he brought these skills into it, and I don't know work on computers. I'm dyslexic. I'm old school. You know, I have no idea. I'm just totally blind to it. When I see a computer break down, I just throw it out the window if it was mine. So like, it's no use, you know. I do everything with my hands. Very rarely pick up any tools. Only the pastels that I work with, and I obviously use brushes when I'm painting.
Yeah.
And I carve clay when I'm making sculpture. But yeah, that's why it started. Then I got fed up with it, going, oh, what am I supposed to talk about? all the time. Just leave me alone. I want to go to work.
Yeah.
And then I put the idea, let's do it every Wednesday then.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's how it happened. So when I wake up on Wednesday morning, I go, oh, we've got to do one of these podcast things. And I come along and I'm like a dog that doesn't want to go out, and dragging me to the thing, right? And I do it. And when I'm talking, actually, I'm glad I'm doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, I was listening to the one from the other week, and I think there's a lot of positive messages that you put through there. And like with Tees Talks, what we're trying to do is just share experiences through conversations with people. But that conversation, even though it's a monologue of you talking to yourself, you've actually talking to the community and giving them a glimpse of what life's like for you. And I think just the words that you were using of, I think you're getting ready for your big California show, which is fantastic, and you explaining that you'll get it done, and of course everybody can just get it done, just believe in yourself and turn up really, and I think those are fantastic messages. So even though you wake up on the Wednesday and you're not sure what you're going to say, it's just talking about your life really, isn't it? Even though it's just a snippet.
Yeah. I think of what I have to do it. And I say it like, well, I have to do it. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about rubbish. I want to talk about something that's real. Otherwise, I can't talk about it at all.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before when we were talking off air about mentors.
Okay.
And there's people like in the art world, and they're young and they're starting out. And it mightn't be the art world, it could be any world. And they think they're the only ones who are going through this, and they don't know what to do, and they don't recognize that they have skills because nobody's told them. They've only told them what they haven't got, not what they have got, right? Or you're in a world like I was growing up in Middlesbrough, drawing pictures. Well, what's the use in that? You've got to go to British Steel. What do you?
Yeah.
There's only artists are dead artists, so like you can't be an artist and be from Middlesbrough.
Is that how you felt? Is that how you felt?
That's what I was told, not felt. Yeah. And so artists, my mum and dad give me pieces of paper because they kept me quiet. It wasn't pinned on the wall or anything. It was just like, have that.
No, that's great. And
but you see that I was doing homework every day, and I was enjoying it. It wasn't an effort to me, but I was learning skills all the time.
Yeah, building that up.
Yeah. And so going to school, there was one guy, English teacher, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just go and sit at the back of the class and draw something."
Right.
So I left school with no qualifications. And then when I was, I don't know, 20, 19, 20, I got made redundant. from one job.
Well, and was that at the dock? Was that at the dockyard?
Yeah, that was Smith Dock. Yeah, yeah.
Right, so a very manual job you were doing.
Totally, yeah, fitters mate, labouring, carrying pipes, all that sort of stuff, up and down ladders, but still drawing all the time. But that was a different world as well. I remember, and I don't mean this negatively, it's just part of the culture.
Yeah.
You know, going to walk down the gangplank and you can see the dock clock.
Yeah.
And the sun was going down. To me, it looked like a Van Gogh, right? And I said to this guy, wow, look at that. You, right?
Give you a clip round the head.
Yeah, you're like, what are you talking about that for, rubbish? You know, so
you just had a different perspective on things.
Yeah, it was a man's world.
Yeah, and so obviously that even the 2-year period there, and your upbringing in Middlesbrough. Whereabouts in Middlesbrough were you brought up, Mackenzie? Was it near?
Mostly in Beechwood.
Oh, okay, and that sort of give you an underpinning of things that have come out in your art all the way through your career. And then what happened to you when you were made redundant then?
A friend of mine, Adrian, he said, you're always good at drawing at school. Why don't you go to night class? So I did a Burton Ramsey, and so it was like 2 hours on a Monday night. And about the third week, he said, you should go to our college. I said, I can't go to our college. I'm like sick. You know, I've got no qualifications, nothing like that. And he said, well, what about Kirby College? Oh. And I was on the dole, so you can't go to college. Then I found out you can do 11 hours a week.
Right.
At college. This is in the 1970s. And so I went there. I'm sure his name was Richard, the teacher. And after a few weeks, he said, why don't you go to our college? I said, I can't go to our college, can I? Yeah. I've told the story a million times, but I can't remember how I ended up in the college building.
Really? You can't remember?
Yeah. No, I know it was a Wednesday, and I sat on the wall outside for about 4 hours, scared to death. And the next thing I knew, I'm walking into the Middlesbrough Art College.
Yeah.
And I knocked on a glass window, and the window opened. Yep, can I help? I said, yeah, can I be an artist?
Can you remember saying that? Can you remember saying that? Yeah.
Can I be an artist? Can I be a bricklayer? You know, so
yeah.
To me, there's no difference. It's just a job.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, fill this application for me. I said, all right, thanks. Yeah. And I went and sat in a field and salted the skill. And I cried me out because of dyslexia.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody in the pub or the club. I didn't tell my mum and dad. Any relatives, nobody, that I was going to try and get into art college. And because I thought the answer's going to be no, so what's the point?
Right.
And but by then, with the redundancy, I had literally hundreds and hundreds of paintings.
Did you really?
I'd be at 6 o'clock in the morning, Stewart's Park painting. I'd be painting down at Sandy Beck at midnight, painting the moon. I painted my dad, I painted my mum, I painted my food. I actually even painted a toilet roll, or anything that was in my life, I painted, right?
Fantastic.
And so then I got a letter and they asked me to go to art college for an interview. And he said, no, you can't come in because you can't spell. And I said, yeah, but I want to be an artist. And he says, yeah, but everybody else is 16. You'll soon be 21. They've all got qualifications and you haven't. And he said, you can't spell because you have to write about history of art. Right. You have to study history of art. Like, it's only half a day. But he said, you've got to do essays and stuff. I said, all right then. And he said, listen, I'm going to get a cup of tea, get your work out, and I'll come back and give you a critique.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to come back and give me the cane. I didn't know what a critique was.
Yeah, what's happening to me?
And so I got all the work out and I put it in the office, and he came back with his cup of tea in a plastic cup, and he went, hang on.
We've got something here. We've
covered the whole room, the couch, the tables, everything.
Yeah.
And he came back with a man called Tom. That was Ken Young. And he came back with a man called Tom Wall. And he looked at it, he said, I don't care if he comes from bloody Mars, he's in. Right? And that's how I got into art college. right?
Right.
And they only teach, how long is this? Because I could go on forever on one subject, you know.
Right, I will keep you on track. So
I got to the point, at Teesside College then, Middlesbrough College, they only taught you subjects that would get you a job. Photography, model making, quilt making, all this kind of textiles, all that, right? But I wanted to paint. And so I would go in with the cleaners in the morning at 6 o'clock and paint till 9 o'clock, do my lessons till 7 o'clock, stay with the caretaker till 10 o'clock, right? And then keep on painting, right? Gosh. And one night, Tom walks in and he finds me, I shouldn't have been there. Yeah. I went in Easter holidays, Christmas holidays, and summer holidays. The cleaners used to give me a cup of tea, right?
You'd made friends with them?
Yeah, I made friends with all of them.
Yeah, great.
You have to do that, otherwise you don't get in, right? No. So they let me in on my own. And so they were mentors in that way.
Yeah.
And Tom came and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm painting. And he said, all right, okay. And I started crying. I said, Tom, I just want to be an artist.
Yeah, yeah.
But in third and fourth year, getting your diploma, you can't do art. It's about doing a job.
Right. So it's like transferable skill straight into work.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And so he says, right, okay. And he gave me £10 to go and get a big load of fruit and vegetables. And he gave me 3 canvases that I had to build up. And he said, right, paint a Van Gogh, paint a Cézanne, a Matisse, and a Thorpe. And he took me out of every single lesson. Right. And he said, listen, there's one college in the country that'll accept people with no qualifications. They don't care if you're dyslexic. If you can't draw, you don't get in.
Right.
All they're interested in. It's called the Bime-Shaw, and it's in London. All right, okay. So he wrote me, he said, right, come round my house, and he wrote the reference, right? What shall we say?
Right.
It all down.
You were in it together, getting it all down.
Yeah, get it all done, yeah. And then there was a college trip, 3rd years, going down to the V&A for design course, and he smuggled me on that train. And he smuggled me into the hotel, and I slept in a bath. I got all my gear the next morning, I went to Fulham, and I got into the Bime-Shaw. It was the front page of the Gazette.
Yeah. And what year? What sort of year was that then, Mackenzie? Is that still the 70s, or are we
this was 1979.
Right. Okay.
And so, like the story, it's not a story. The truth is, I got my gear together, and it was October. Went to London on the midnight bus. My mum gave me a £10 note and a corned beef sandwich. People laugh, but that's true.
You couldn't get more Teesside than that, no, unless you had peas pudding in your pocket.
Yeah, it cost £6 on the bus. And I got there and I started painting immediately.
Right.
And this woman came up, Kate Hawks, I'll never forget her.
Kate Hawks, did you say?
Kate Hawks, yeah. And she came up to me at about 4:30 in the afternoon. And I got there at 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, nothing to eat or anything. I was painting away. Yeah. And she said, where are you sleeping? And I went, oh.
Not thought. Didn't plan for it.
Nothing.
Yeah.
She took me home. I met her husband. And I had spaghetti bolognese and red wine for the first time.
Very chic.
Yeah. And after that, I went through the Bime-Shaw and I got my degree, a Bachelor of Arts. I had 2 children. Owen was born in 83. We were living in London. Susan was working as a nurse. That was her
occupation.
Occupation, yeah. And we didn't want to bring the kids up in London anymore. We wanted countryside, so we moved to Richmond. And that's when we opened a shop selling art materials, but nobody wanted to buy, or they only bought a little bit, right? So I started using the materials and drawing myself.
There's a lot I want to ask you about the business side of the art world as well, because obviously, as you've explained, you were so invested in just painting and all of this creativity coming out of you. When you go to the studio, do you kind of set yourself up on the clock and say, right, I'm coming in now, and now I've got to feel creative?
No, it's like any job. You wake up sometimes you just don't want to go to work, you know, but you have to. And I've got a voice in my head. Van Gogh said, if you can't go to work, go to work.
If you can't go to work, go to work.
Yeah. So once you start drawing, then you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Right. Just put your foot in and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I also, I have guilt because I'm a member of a team.
Yes. You know? Yeah, you've got all the people who are working with you.
Administration, the design of work that goes on, the internet work that goes on, the shipping. It's a massive business. And it's a pretty good question because at art college, you never get one single minute of a lesson that talks about the subject, right? So you come out totally blind.
That's what I wondered, is how that happened for you, from turning it into a love, a passion, and a qualification into income, into...
Nobody was buying the work. I was selling work for like £5, right? But it was enough to put some food on the plate. Then it got, whoa. It was £60, £80. And what I'm supposed to do? And Susan's the intelligent one, the logical one.
Right.
I'm the emotional one who flies off all over the place. She said, you've got to get an agent. Okay. And I remember sitting in Richmond in an 11-foot by 17-foot shop. Covered my work was on the ceiling everywhere. And looking through yellow pages.
Yes, I remember.
And they were all like, oh, no, we don't do that. Oh, no, we don't do that. Even one of them, it's a funny story. I just got so used to doing it. I got on the phone. I'm an artist. I want to do paintings. I can do greetings cards. I can do this. I can do this. He said, hang on. What kind of artist are you? I said, well, I paint pictures. He said, well, I look after artists, like strip trees or something like that. I went, oh, okay.
I should have pronounced it correctly.
Yeah. Susan went to Darlington, got this book called the Artists and Writers book, right? Which talks about all the agents and things you've got to do. And found this address. So I rang him, sent the work along, and about a month later, the phone rings and it's this guy. And he said, I apologize it took so long to get in touch with you. He said, but it was rejected, right? And he said, I left my office to go to the bathroom and I saw this work on the counter. And I said, who's that? Get them in. Right? And that's how it happened, because he had a team of people who would vet the things.
Right. Oh, so the gatekeeper had sort of stopped your work getting over the threshold, but when he saw it just in passing.
Yeah, and what they did was licensing. So like the wallpaper, the design on that cup you're just drinking out of, right? They look for artists to do that. And they tried it with me, but it doesn't work.
Right.
So okay, what we need is, and I've been in touch with some publishers, and as soon as I said, you know, what I was or whatever, I couldn't get past the gate. This guy wears a tweed suit, has a massive big Jaguar. He's been in the business 30 years. Everybody knows him. He drives up to the publisher, the biggest publisher in Britain, goes up to them and says, what about this? And they went, oh, wow. And I got a deal.
Doors immediately opened.
Yep, immediately opened. Once that happened, immediately opened. And then even to the point where he took my work to New York.
Right.
And he had it on a computer to show people at a licensing show, an art show in the Hilton in New York. And the next thing he rings me up and he says, these two Americans came by and they said, they'd like more information about your work. He had none of my work there because he knew it didn't fit in for licensing. He only had it on computer. So they saw that. And almost the next thing, they were stood in front of me in my shop in Richmond. These two
all the way over.
Yeah. And it was father and son. And they've been in the business for 40, 50 years. He's father of the father of Bob. They've been in the business forever, all art. And the senior that was there, Bob Senior, he was Salvador Dali's manager.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm going like that.
He's salivating. Oh my God.
Yeah, and he says, do you want a pint over the road? So we went to Black Lion having a pint, and I said, what do you want? What do you want? Yeah. And he says, we think you're the painter of hope.
Oh my God. How does that make you feel when you hear something like that?
I said, what do you mean? he said, we've been looking for a European artist for about 10 years, right? So Dali's gone and all the rest of it. And he said, we look at your work and it gives us hope and it gives everybody in the office hope. They feel hope.
Yeah.
I said, all right, okay. And he said, there's a big art expo in Los Angeles in about 3 months' time. We'd like you be the poster for the event, the front of the catalogue, and you come to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Oh, all right then.
And so this was your first experience of Mackenzie Thorpe going international at that point, when they'd come back from the New York situation at the Hilton, and then they came to see you, and then they took you then to, did you say LA?
Yeah.
Wow. And so that was the first time that had happened for you.
Yeah, and then I got blown away by all the excitement and the notoriety, if you like, of people talking to me and all that stuff, and radio and TV and all the rest of it. That you don't think about money.
No.
You know, and but Susan does.
Good for Susan. Well done, Susan.
That's not the right. I shouldn't have said it like that. It's not about the money. It's about protection.
Yeah.
She knows if I go out there, I'm going to be eaten, because everybody who's a dealer, they have to be a shark.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's a phrase that I was going to ask you about, is knowing your worth. And, you know, and it feels like that's sort of what you're talking about with Susan, is that, you know, she was interested in the money side, but not because it's any sort of like grabbing at money. It's just like knowing your worth, the worth of what you've put into your art, and making sure protection, that nobody's taking advantage of that. So how does that work out then? So did Susan come with you to LA when you went, or you?
No, not in the early days. No, she was working as a nurse and she had to look after her own employee, you know. So no, there's no chance of that. I was doing it all. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I moved to the third building in Richmond. And I said, listen, we have to employ staff. Well, you come. So she stopped nursing and came on board.
Yeah.
And then she was coming to meetings.
Right.
We did a meeting the week before, was Tony Blair and Yeltsin sitting in the seats we were in.
Really?
Yeah. And me and Susan, with all these two companies, the big, massive publishing companies, sitting there. And I had an A4 piece of paper and a pen. That was it. Right? And we got through that and got the contract sorted.
Yeah.
Susan did most all the talking to them. Oh, no, we don't want that. We want this, not that, the other. And got it. So it was set up. Long story short, all these people came together and took me to the other places.
Right.
Right. And got me higher and higher. At one point, there was over 80 galleries in the United States. I was represented by over 250 in Britain. Right. Helicopter shows and all the rest of it. Then Japan came on. Then Australia came on.
Right.
Right. And then I couldn't do any more than that. And relationships start to fall apart and things like that. So what are you doing this for? I never said I would do that. All these little things come into it, like any business.
Right. So it was so big that then, not out of control, but there was things happening that you needed to rein back in, maybe.
Yes. And things I didn't see that were been going on. And somebody said, do you know? And I said, no.
Yeah.
So like that, you know, it's these little things that build up to be bigger things. And so then it must be about 15 years ago. Now I opened my gallery in 1989, which is still right. And there used to be just me and then me and Susan. Now there's four staff working there, right? And we know the business inside out, backside first. So we don't need any more people cutting my pie, slice by slice by slice.
You've just got your trusted crew.
Exactly. I have a team around me. People ask me how do I operate. You said about coming in the studio, stuff like that. I have to come because the work's got to be done. Yeah. Susan calls that the engine room.
Right. The studio is the engine room.
And the list is massive what has to happen to get the product to the gallery.
Yeah.
Huge. And when you're sending things 15 feet tall made of bronze from one side of the world to the other side of the world, it's complicated.
Logistics,
I have no idea. I don't even make one phone call. Everything is taken away from me.
And you're happy with the way that it all runs? I mean,
totally. I know nothing about it. If you ask me
Yeah.
a question about banking or invoices, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? All I want to know is about, oh, this is my job, I've got to get on with it, right? And then that's your job, so you do that.
And do you still love it as much today as you did when you couldn't stop painting and you couldn't stop drawing when you were going to college? Do you still love it with that intensity, or has it changed over the years? Like a relationship, has it sort of
physically? When I was working in Richmond, I could do 10 paintings a day. Right? At college once, I did 250 watercolors in one night.
250?
Before, yeah, from about 6 o'clock at night till 10 o'clock the next morning. Goodness. So I used to work like a nutcase.
Yeah.
Now, my arthritis, you're talking like now I've been doing it full time for 37 years. I had a bout with cancer, all that. But most of it, I spend now, the time it took me to do 10, now I'll get through one. Right. Because the attention that I'm doing and the things that I'm pushing. And they're saying to me, oh, the voice saying, no, you can't do that. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And I do it, and I'm digging in, and I go, what do I want to do that? All right, okay, do it. Then I look back and say, like, when did that come from?
Right.
And I walk in the gallery and it's framed up, and I go, oh my God, did I do that?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. So it's changed a bit.
67 years. I'm 67 years this year.
Yeah.
You could say that 67 years it took me to get to this point.
Yeah.
Now I'm in my age, I'm not going uphill, I'm going downhill. So now I've got a shorter spell of time to try. Nobody out there is going to achieve the golden goal. No. Right? Picasso said he felt like a donkey when he was asked this question. He said a donkey with a stick tied to its head, with a carrot on a piece of string. Yeah. And he said, I know I
can't get there.
Fight that carrot, right? Now I know that totally.
You feel that.
And I go every day and I'm pushing to get to there. Before I was doing all the television, all of this, all of that. And then I had some time to work. Mm. Every month I was going to America twice. And I'd go for 6 days and do 7 flights, 10 flights. Right? It was mad.
Your schedule was hectic.
I come to work, I draw till my arm hurts or my feet hurt. Yeah. That's enough. It's about 3:30, 4 o'clock or whatever. And then I go home. And when I get home, I sit in a big chair and I'm surrounded by A4 pieces of paper. Last night, I drew out 6 sculptures for ideas.
Really?
And I do that every single night of the week.
I was going to say to you, what do you do to unwind? But that is what you're doing to unwind. You've explained that you just can't stop. You can't stop drawing, painting. You absolutely love doing that. But is there like a secret source for your creativity? Has the light got to be right? Have you got to have lots of space? Or can you literally create You can't. I'm gonna have to bleep that.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. No. I once shared a house when I was a student in London, and there was a writer there, and he said, "If the moon's not right, I can't write." I said, "What?"
So there's no secret source.
One of many of them. No.
There's just you're creative, and that's it.
Once I was doing things, and this guy came in, and he introduced himself, and he was from the British Museum, and he said he'd been following me and looking at the work and liked it. And he said, I've been trying to write essays on people who are creative, right? So see, if you take a dyslexic, what I saw when I was at a lecture in London, that they'll go to school and all the rest of it, then get a job and then be the top of the job, then go and play golf and then die, right? And then they said, when they tracked Mozart, they couldn't find an end. It just went up and up and up and up. And then he died, but it's still being played tomorrow. So it goes on forever.
The trajectory was never ending.
How does that happen? And he said, I think you must walk around with an antenna in the back of your neck or something, and you pick up everything. And he said, so like I used to go home and put the Radio 2 on. Yeah. It didn't inspire me, right? But if I hear something that makes me cry or makes me like, oh my God, look, right, then I have to do something. Right?
Yeah.
So I work to music all the time.
You work with music?
Yeah, all the time. I set the scene.
So is it music of your choosing then? So obviously you said if you listen to Radio 2, then it's just not your vibe. But so do you choose your playlist?
But I've just got a Lexus last year. Even this morning I'm playing CDs.
Yeah.
And I was shouting when you rang, I was shouting at the CD player to stop.
Yeah.
Right. So I prefer CDs. And what sometimes I used to go to the record shop and just go like that with my hand and feel a vibe and pick one. And it would 9 times out of 10 it would work. What happens to me? I get a big fire in my belly.
Fire in your belly, yeah.
And I don't know what it's about. I don't know why, but now I'm used to it. So it means something. So I'm coming to the studio. By the time I open the door in the studio, I'm behind the stage.
Right, ready to come on the curtain, out the curtain.
It's the first time I've said that, but this is what it's like. So then I walk through the warehouse.
Yeah.
To the office, say hello, go through the warehouse, see the designer, like that. Yeah. Go into the studio. First thing I do is press the power on. Then I've got an old radio station that I listen to, put that on, put the piece of paper on in my clean clothes.
Yeah.
Get changed into my dirty clothes, put it on the easel, and start. Bang. Then I put my music on, and then I go bang to work. And the music just comes to my head, or I look, and it tells me what to do. To try and make people understand the way that I work, I think I'm here, the same as paper, the easel, and the pastel. The pastel is as old as the planet. It's pure pigment. And my job is to pick it up and move it from the box to across the room and make a mark on paper. We're all equal, right? So I don't walk in the studio and go, oh, I'm an artist. I walk in the studio sometimes after I've been away and have a bow and say, nice to see you again. You know, like it's my temple.
Yeah.
I'm in there and I don't do anything else but draw. I dance when I'm working sometimes when it's going and the music's getting to me. I cry. Sometimes I say, like, when you've had a scab and it's healed, and sometimes you've got to peel a scab off.
Yeah, yeah.
And draw that, you know, draw the kid who had the nightmares or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't pull any punches. So if you're painting this subject, I have little rules in my head. So David Hockney said, whatever it is, draw it with beauty.
Okay.
So that's it.
Do you think as a person then, I mean, you know, to be an artist, you can't say you've got to be one specific way, but for you, do you feel like you've got some sort of a sensitivity, like you're really in tune with yourself and the things that, like the external cues, like you said, the music and everything? Do you think you're just very sensitive to those things and then it sort of churns up and helps with that fire that you've got in your belly, or, you know, just, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I've always had that as a child, but it wasn't accepted at school. You don't do that lesson at school, right? You don't exercise your imagination.
No.
You don't get. When I was in senior school, the music teacher played the 1812 Overture. And I said, can I buy that, miss? Because I thought that was the only one. She said she bought it from her mum and dad's because she lived with her mum and dad in Middlesbrough. And I thought that was the only one, and it was made in 1812. Right?
But you wanted, you needed that,
Yeah. And my mum put Mario Lanza on, so I listened to opera. When I left home with that corned beef sandwich and a £10 note, I pinched the double album.
Did you? You took it with you?
I took it with me, right? And I've seen Man and Butterfly that many times. Now, what's happened with success, right? Now I'm allowed to be me. The galleries want me to be me. The collectors want me to be me. They don't shut me down when I say stupid things that are, in my world, normal, right? What I draw is real.
So before success and your name being out there, would you have to be very careful of what you're saying?
You're in that case. You know, or you could say these things in our college because everybody else is making art.
Yeah.
So, but once you walk out of that oasis, right, and there you are on the bus thinking about this and that, and you see this colour and go, you know, you're daft. It doesn't work like that. Or you feel so not depressed, but you go to a place. My best place is, like I tell people, it's like going to Vietnam. I'm really good in that environment. When I say Vietnam, a place of struggle, a place of despair.
Oh, okay. Metaphorically, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you're going on your holidays to Vietnam.
No. I've never been. Oh, no, sorry. I don't know how else to put it. I've got a massive show at a museum in Israel next year.
Right.
It's starting here. It's on for 6 months, and it's the biggest accolade that I can think of. It's been given to me.
Fantastic.
We're going out there in 3 weeks' time to meet the owner. Susan's already been over, but I mashed my leg up with arthritis, and so I couldn't in January. But their philosophy is they want to bring all people together, nation, whatever your nationality, whatever your religion, whatever your job, whatever you are, to come together under the veil of art and talk. And they said my work would work, right? Yeah. So I started working on it maybe May, January, February, March. Yeah, March, May, somewhere like that. And I didn't know what I was doing, which is most of the time. And that's how I like to work. Yeah. I have no idea where it's going or what it is.
And does it just come together?
Go with it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah, it comes together. This is a journey in 2 parts. And I'm working on the first part. And it's the journey where the child with no face, his job is to go round the world and bring love. And he has absolutely nothing, not even a face, because his self-esteem is so low and he believes all the things that people have said to him or her that he can't drop that. So every day he goes to the easel. I am rubbish. My drawings are just drawings. They're no good. They weren't even on the fridge door. Can't be any good. So you fight through that and you fight through that. And I draw it with love. And all the pictures are all about bringing love. And all around these pictures is thunderstorms like hell. The ground, there's no trees. It's desolate. So the model maker working with me today, yesterday, he said, so is that the desert? Because it's all blacks and greys. I said, no, it's just barren. There's no fruit growing. There's no wheat growing. There's nothing. There's no houses. There's nobody around. And he's climbing up a mountain without pulling a heart. He'll never stop. That's my motivation, you know. That's why I want to do it. In the second half, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I about 3 weeks ago, I worked out there is the second half, and it's going to be the getting there and the joy of it all.
The journey of it.
Yeah, it's a total journey, and I've been talking about for years. Instead of dropping bombs on people, why don't you stick a big heart right in the middle of the war zone? You know, and just when the soldier goes, you might think just for a second, stop, and just think about love, and how important love. If we don't have that, then everything's gone.
And you just said you've got the model maker working with you at the moment. Do you have people come into the studio, and are they just like, you know, taking space to work alongside you, or do they work with you? And is that something you've done for a little while now then, Mackenzie?
I work with the model maker to help me, because some of the sculptures I do are 6 feet, you know, some of them are 15 feet.
Yeah.
So, and they bring a knowledge that I haven't got, like building the armature and things like that. I never got taught sculpture.
Okay. So do you kind of give them the idea of what you're trying to create, and then you kind of
I draw it out, right? And then we work together. And I'm saying, no, I want the arm like this, the arm like that. Yeah. And so, that's what I want. So you start to build up the inside to get me there, so that I can carry on painting, right? Or doing this, or whatever I've got to go. Yeah. Because it's non-stop every day. Every day is non-stop. There's always something going on. And there's always, everybody's doing all these jobs, and I've got to do mine. Yeah. Once I have an idea, I draw it and it's gone. To make a cool sculpture could take 2 years. Right. I used to work with different people in different countries, and I'd fly out there for 2 weeks and work with them and finish it. To do that is getting harder and harder, you know. And we have foundries around the world and in England working every single day on Mackenzie Thorpe projects. Gosh. Right? So I can't do it. It's impossible. I can't make the paper, draw on it, frame it, glass it, ship it to Texas, go to Texas, hang it on the wall, you know, then put my suit on and meet people and sign catalogues or whatever. No, you can't. It's a team, it's a business. That's what art students don't know.
People who are coming into the art world now, whether they're at college or whether they're starting out, you know, what would you tell them? Would you tell them about trying to learn about business alongside it, or get good people to work with you from the very start? You know, what sort of advice would you give them that maybe you didn't have back in the day, and rather than it taking time to evolve, can you give them some top tips?
Susan was invited to the university in Middlesbrough to do that talk, and students came up to me afterwards. I never saw it. The students came up to me afterwards and said how brilliant it was. They wondered, what do you do when you leave college? And they go, bye-bye. What do you do now? And it's, if you have an ambition to build something 25 feet high, and then you write backwards all the steps to get that thing 25 feet tall, how do you get it there? Once, I delivered a huge heart. It was 12 feet by 9 feet by 14 feet. Kansas in America, to a park, right?
Right.
Now, they had to be there on the Monday, but they were driving through Nevada, and anything over 15 feet tall can't go through Nevada on a Sunday.
Oh, right? My God.
From California. So him and his wife slept in the vehicle, right?
Yeah.
And then bought the heart, and they got there on the Tuesday.
Oh, my
so
God.
The logistics are massive.
Yeah.
Right? So all the galleries I've got, they've got all their staff. So when I go to California, there's about 15 people work there. And then they've got their box people, their shipping people, this person, they lift, even the bronzes, hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got cranes going on and all kinds of things. You know, you have to have everything. I opened a box in Christchurch with a sculpture in, and these people, I couldn't do it because I wasn't in the union, right? So these guys do it. They open the box and there's a dead spider. Everything stops.
Yeah. What is it?
Later, the customs people came and the professors, all the rest of it, or so-and-so, it's fine. Then we could take the sculpture out the box. There's so many things you think about.
Yeah, all these variables that you just wouldn't see coming.
Nothing at all. And then they're all the variables that will happen that you will never, ever think about.
You're very good at being very personable. And do you think that is something that you would advise young people to get good at, is just sort of building up your personal skills to be able to talk to other people? Because you do need a team, you need people around you to help you. If you're a very solitary artist, maybe you're not going to get as far. I don't know. Well, every artist should be solitary. You can't rely on anybody else to make the art. That's your job. Don't ring up somebody said, oh, shall I put 3 trees in the corner? No, what colour shall I do this? You know, no. Everybody knows who they are. Right? If you're not being yourself, you're telling a lie. So be authentic. Right? Only you know that, right? So if you go in a room and you feel like you can't talk, and that is really you, then don't. Then that's fine. Yeah. You can't because you're frightened or shy. Shy is another word for fear. Right? Then find yourself and get rid of the fear. Face the fear and go forward. I've just written a little article on the website for the podcast as well, and a familiar phrase from this area is shy bairns getting out. If I'm a shy bairn, am I destined to getting out? Well, not necessarily. You can work on this, and this. I made a sculpture once, right, which is this thin at the bottom, and it goes up to about 5 feet, and it's about this wide. Yeah. Right, and it's all cut like a big kebab. Right. And it's sliced, and there's a little boy sat on the end of it. He's tiny, he's about this big. And there's a house, right? And the house has no windows, no doors, no smoke coming out of the chimney. No life in it. Nothing. And I say to the kid, if you don't jump off this, you'll never be yourself. Right. You'll never show the world who you are. And then you've come all the way this far from the house to the edge. The edge is tiny, tiny, tiny. It's just that one tiny step, right? When you do it, for now, you won't be able to get in the house. You won't have no windows to break in.
When you get there, they won't. If you try to get in, they won't even be fired on. You can't eat nothing. Right? When you jump off, hopefully you will survive and be fine. When you come back, there'll be curtains on the windows, there'll be a front door, there'll be a fire, everything you need and want will be there.
Because you'll create it because you've got to move forward and make the jump.
Yes. So if I can't go to work, like Van Gogh said, then I just kick myself up the backside.
Yeah, go to work.
And I jump off. Yeah.
What do you think, or what you hope that your legacy will be? You know, how you feel that things will go for you, what you're looking to achieve?
In the past, normally charities would get in touch with us and we'd just respond and knee-jerk, say, okay, let's do it. And that's how it operated, really. So I would do a show and make that happen. And then I started to do a show in Japan, and I was approached by one woman who was trying to get contact with every dyslexic in Japan and change the minds of the government.
Right.
And so we started off by giving like 10% of exhibitions, then Now there's a person or two people in every major city and small city in Japan teaching children with dyslexia. The government have acknowledged it and now put teachers with them dyslexic teachers and learn and then take it back into schools. And I did the same thing with a guy in New Zealand and we got it recognised there. I wanted something in England, if you like. And so through Peter Barron, who's become a friend, he asked if we get involved with the Autism Society, the Northeast Autistic Society. And that'll be good. When I was, after I'd been a student, I worked in play in Hammersmith and Fulham in London. As an artist, they employed me as an artist to work with kids. Okay. And then I was on a site with people who are all disabilities, blind, mostly autistic. And then I found I was inadequate. So I did a course at Goldsmiths about art therapy.
So what inadequate is on the teaching side of it?
No, it wasn't teaching, just communicating.
You felt that you wanted to get to be able to communicate with these children better?
Yeah. So then I took a course myself Susan found the course at Goldsmiths doing art therapy. And they're starting to talk about from yourself, your attitude and vision, your prejudices, and then flip it round to what their prejudices are and attitudes are. And I was working closely with a boy that had never spoken. And he was bigger than me, he was taller than me, he was like 6'6", right? And he's about 14 years old. And what I did was I scrounged everything. So I went to a wood shop and I said what I was doing, working with these people. And so I got free hardboard and paint shop, and I got like remains of old tins of painting. And I said, do you want to do some painting? And these are 5 foot, 4 foot big boards. By the end of the day, they were all covered. He just went bish, bosh, bash, bush, bo, bam, bang. And I was like, oh my God, like this is incredible. It's incredible. Like that, the old staff that before I got there, they were there, like, and the governors, they came in and said, but like, it's not flowers, is it? No. What do we do with it? This was like a nightmare. It was like a Francis Bacon, like, blah. So I said to him, we're on our own. I said, they taught me at the college, don't ask why, ask what. Or do you think? Right. So I said, what's it about? And he looked at me and he said, don't you know? Nobody let him speak. Got a clue what that kid's doing anymore.
Yeah. Did he ever tell you what it was? Did he say,
No, he went quiet after that. But then I went back to the town hall in Hammersmith and they had a gallery space. And I said, can I do a show with his work? And they said, yes. And we got it in the Standard, and there's a photograph of him in the Standard with his work. So it was fantastic. He didn't speak, but he had a big smile on his face.
And that's all that matters. You'd made that connection, and he created something.
Yeah. So now to be asked to be working with them now in the Northeast, and then when I met them, they asked me if they could name the school in South Bank after me. Right. So I know what I've said publicly and to the media, and Owen knows this, that for as long as we're making sales and everything's fine, then we're going to support them. And so we've done merchandise for them, designs for them. I've done an original for the South Bank place.
Yeah.
And all that we'll be getting involved in. We just get involved in what is Mackenzie Thorpe name, that it goes on forever. I've been involved with heart research in Australia, education, suicide units in America, and they've all had a life and gone. This one, I don't want it to have a life and gone.
Yeah.
So Mackenzie Thorpe was involved with on the board with the Autistic Society of the North East, and I want that to happen.
And that's going to be your legacy.
It's of that part of my life, yes.
Yeah. And can you ever see a time when you won't be drawing? I can't, from talking to you for this length of time, I can't see a time that you'd ever.
I hope not. I don't remember a time not drawing. I won't remember a time when I don't, because when I die, I won't remember that I was even there anyway. So
other people from Teesside in the area who you've met and known who also maybe have got an inspirational story, doesn't have to be in the art world. Do you know of anybody who you think that the listeners of Tees Talks would get some value out of hearing their story as well?
I'm sure. For me, Chris Rea.
Do you know Chris?
I met him once, and he was like a year above me or 2 years above me at school, and his brother was in my year. But I met him once in the town hall Christmas party at our college. His band was playing on stage, and he'd just been on the news, and he said, "Will you get me a pint?" He had no money. They took all his bloody money.
Chris Rea had no money, and you had to buy him a pint. Did you buy him one?
Yeah. And I was a student. But then there's so many. And when I go around the world, I meet so many people involved in this and involved in that. In Texas, they're working on oil rigs.
People from Teesside. People from Teesside.
They're engineers. Or in Australia, they're digging up chemicals and minerals.
And I think that's brilliant, isn't it? It's just that's the whole thing from me, is they're from where I'm from. And let's hear the story, and if there's any wisdom that we can pull out of that, and people hear and are able to get some inspiration themselves, then fantastic.
It freaks me out every time it happens. I was doing a thing, and this actor was on stage being interviewed. I saw his movies, right? And I loved the guy. Really good actor, English guy. And he came up and said, "You're Mackenzie Thorpe." He said, "You're a legend." And I went, "What?"
But you're a legend. No, I'm a legend. You're
so like, oh my God, yeah, I can't, I just try not to work it out. I used to grab myself batty trying to work it out. But a lot of the people you meet in life who are successful, name drop Elton John and people like that, they didn't grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth either. They lived with the grandma in a council house. And why can't you do it?
Yeah, it's going to be somebody. It's going to be somebody.
Wrong with everything.
Yeah, might as well be you. And it is you. You've done fine.
It is you if you want it to be.
Well, I'm really, really happy that you gave me this time today, Mackenzie, and I'll look forward to getting this out on Tees Talks for people to listen to, and hopefully I'll get to speak to you again in the future sometime. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much, and thank everybody for listening. Cheers.